This is Eagle Owl, and today I will be talking about Lane Johnson speaking on the collapse season. Also, we're going to talk about Howie Roseman. Will he finally invest in a linebacker room? And lastly, we got to talk about AJ Brown and Devontae Smith chemistry. It's unmatched, but let's get straight into it. All right, so before we get straight into the topics today, Eagles basically fired their QB coach at Alice Tanny, or they just told him he could explore other options. So that means when the next offensive coordinator comes in, he really has complete control because the only guy we're not letting go, I don't care who comes in, is Jeff Stoutland. We're not letting Jeff Stoutland go. He's the guy. But all the other pieces, I believe the offensive coordinator can have. Now, you would think, or maybe it is, the Eagles' job is an attractive job to anybody that want to be an offensive coordinator because you got the pieces. Everybody know Nick Sirianni is not calling the plays. You can do what you want with this AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard. Hell, we could find a way to resign Swift or get a dynamic back out the draft. Hell, maybe we could sneak Derrick Henry as a, bruiser back. You never know. But man, this offense is something else. It's still high powered. Even with the bad play calling, still won 11 games. AJ Brown still almost had over 1,500 yards. Devontae Smith over 1,000. Dallas Goddard was still dynamic. And you still have a top 3 offensive line. Yeah, you'll have full control. So hopefully the Eagles pick the right guy. Because I see they doing their due diligence. I give them that. But again, hopefully they pick the right guy. Right, let's talk about Lane Johnson, man. Lane Johnson went on Baldy and those guys' platform, and he spoke about the Eagles season. I mean, he was honest about the collapse, about the play calling, about the finger pointing, all that stuff. But let me go ahead and play these clips.
Yeah, I felt Nick was very even keel, even when we were losing. Obviously you could see the coaches were frustrated, but I think the messages were clear. The job assignments were clear. I just felt like we could have done better. Maybe scheming wise, or just going into games. Maybe communicate with players. Okay, all of us in here together. How do we fix this? Rather than is it Brian's fault? Is it Nick's fault? It goes down to communication. So a lot of times you can learn a lot from your players. And
feels like in order to run it, you have to be committed to running it because there's always like a fine line, a fine dance lane with that running back in the line, where it's going to hit, how you're going to get to the mic, how you're going to seal the backside. Like all these things always have to get figured out once the game starts. Walkthroughs on Wednesday don't fix it. So I guess my question, Lane, is why can't more teams just commit to it, to be good at it? And because I feel like that was an issue with your offense this year, is that you couldn't commit to it, even though when you did it, you were good at it.
Yeah, I felt like, whenever we have ran the ball really well, we really started the game well. So really like a good burst, first couple of opening drives. And so I feel like the confidence in it is there rather than getting stuffed. And I feel like sometimes the run game changes, or we have a plan and then you get behind a couple of scores and then it's like it's all out the window. We're going to throw it. But yeah, one thing about the run game, man, is it can help out every other aspect. The more you can beat guys up physically, it slows down the pass rush. The more you get on these linebackers and get in their face, the less, the more they're thinking about that rather than covering. So, it's a great way to run the clock. It's a great way to slow the game down. But I feel like, there was times where, like Minnesota, we had a good game. There wasn't very many where we had really big run games, but a lot of it, we stuck with it whenever we really hit it early and we had confidence in it. And then I feel like if we ever got behind, I already knew what time was. We're going to throw it. We're kind of behind in the score, so weren't as committed. But yeah, it's frustrating. We had a run game package for Tampa, and then they line up in like a 6-2 the whole game, and so they're pretty much saying to throw the ball. And so Yeah, it's something. Sometimes you may get stuffed early, but then stuff opens up late in the game. So I felt like maybe next year I have more confidence in it. But as far as the offensive lineman's point of view, and rather than sitting back, dropping back, throwing the ball, and giving these rushers just what they want to rush the ball. They don't want to play the run. So whenever you can attack guys, it's a lot better mindset. It's a lot more fun for O linemen, so to speak. If you can beat guys up physically, because whenever you do throw the ball, that they're a little bit more tired now. It kind of limits the pass rush. So if you ever come and watch our practices, a lot of what we're doing is make blocks, T blocks. That's what we like. That's what we love to do. I love beating a guy up, and then when it comes time to rush the quarterback, they're not as effective. So I like to see a little bit more of that next year. Hopefully, we can get up on teams and stay with it.
How did they perk up? I listened to it. I know Baldy and I we talk about you all the time. What thought? You have any theories as to kind of how it kind of spiraled away?
Well, as the season progresses, as they get more tape on you, teams look at, how were other teams effective in shutting you down. And so I think maybe it started with the 49ers, and then, the nosebleed kept coming. We didn't make those adjustments. And so I think they just kept bringing the kind of same plan of attack, and it kept working, and we weren't able to adjust to it. And so I think that was really it. But yeah, like you said, sometimes it takes teams a little bit to get film. And once a team has a successful game against you or a good game plan, then teams kind of piggyback off of that. So, I think that's kind of what happened. They always say the league always has a way of figuring you out. So, I think they figured us out. We didn't adjust, and it was evident.
As you see, that's a 4-minute clip from like a 20 to 25-minute interview. It was a really good interview. Urge you guys to go check it out with Lane Johnson and Baldy and those guys, man. But he gave it up. He definitely gave it up. What happened to the run game? Baldy asked the question like, yo, y'all didn't commit to the run in that way. And he's like, yeah, we wanted to, but when we fall behind, we start throwing it. And it sounded like Lane Johnson wanted to commit to the run because he's like, as an offensive lineman, I want to beat up on the defensive line. Then we get into that passing. But it sounded like he wasn't a fan of it. So you gotta commit to the run, whoever this next offensive coordinator is. And I believe he was honest as possible about the season, about the collapse, about Nick Sirianni. And there was an article that came out by Tim McManus. Remember, he was saying like how they don't really know who's calling the plays. It was finger point. Is it Brian Johnson? Is it Nick Sirianni? There was some friction in that locker room. And again, Lane Johnson gave it up. He ain't give it a political answer. He gave it up like, yo, it was sometimes we were confused in that way. Again, is it Nick Sirianni? Is it Brian Johnson? Who is it? They really didn't know. And there was a power struggle over the offense. It definitely was. But again, I urge you guys to really go check out that interview, man. It was really, really good. All right, so let's talk about Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, it seemed like he's willing to invest in the linebacker room, at least to coach him. We always talk about TJ Edwards being missed and Kazir White somewhat being missed, but we don't talk about Nick Rollins a bit, the guy that went to Arizona with Jonathan Gannon. I believe he's missed too. I definitely believe he's missed. You could tell the difference in the coaching in the linebacker room when Nicholas Rollins left and went to Arizona. And that's no disrespect to I believe his name DJ Reed. I could be getting it wrong, to the linebacker coach we had, but they ain't played with no intensity. It was definitely like a downgrade somewhere. They didn't want to hit. It was something going on with that linebacker room. Now, interviewing Joe Barry and even Mike Cardwell, that's a good interview. It looked like Howie Roseman is trying to get experience and get the best guy to coach the linebackers. I believe he's going to put some money in the linebacker room. Now, Joe Barry, him alone, his resume, especially what he did in Tampa, I believe Dan Sileo even said this back in the day, like how he was with Derrick Brooks and those guys, Joe Barry. And I know from recent years, he had Devin White and Levante David in Tampa Bay playing at a high level. And I believe those guys' contracts are coming up. Maybe a guy, if we do hire Joe Barry, can like get Levante David or one of these dudes to Philadelphia, a high-powered linebacker due to his connections. Hell, he even had the Packers linebackers playing well. Now, can he coach a whole defense? That's where he struggled at. Absolutely not. But that inside linebackers and just coaching linebackers in general, Joe Barry is the guy. Now, Mike Cardwell, I know we interviewed him to be a defensive coordinator, but as a linebacker coach, I even like that move as well from a former linebacker. Yeah, man, I would like either or, but if you ask me to choose, I would say Joe Barry. I mean, the experience coaching the linebackers, the connection to development of the linebackers, Joe Barry is the guy. He's the guy. So far as in the coaching stance, Howie Roseman is looking to really invest in the linebacker room. He even alluded to it in the press conference, like, it's some misunderstanding that we don't invest in the linebacker room. Now, after that, I didn't really like what he said, because basically he's saying, like, Zach Cunningham and our belief in the Kobe Dean. I know that's jibber jabber, but him saying, like, we're not looking to invest in the linebacker room, he's going to invest. I believe he's going to do it. All right, so AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Yes, it was an ad, but I like these two guys' chemistry. They spoke about, I believe it was a bounty, the paper towels. They had an ad for them, and it was a 1-minute clip of these guys just speaking to each other, and I really like. And I believe the chemistry is just unreal and unmatched. But let me go ahead and play this clip.
With the end zone because I'm trying to score a touchdown, so that's just how I kind of connect.
He's AJ Brown, the swole one.
And he's Devontae Smith, the skinny guy.
We're wingman here in Philly. We got our wings.
We got our bounty.
This is Wingman Stores. Spill the sauce.
When I met you, it was early in the morning. It was probably like 5, almost 6 o'clock. We were out there in the rain running the hill. It showed me everything I need to know about you as a player, as a person. But I don't mind the rain, Devontae. Let's talk about you catching the ball with the strong winds and the strong rain.
That's why I got a guy like you out there catching the ball like it's not raining. Last year against Jacksonville, in the midst of a hurricane. Well, I didn't catch many passes because it was playing in the rain is not bad, but playing in a hurricane is bad.
Yeah. Ready for a win?
Oh.
You getting a little hot, huh?
Yeah, getting a little hot.
Yeah. Bounty? There you go. Okay,
I like the chemistry between the two guys, man, and I just can't wait for next season. I can't wait. And for guys that saying AJ Brown is this and that, these two dudes are really getting along. Of course, they love Jalen Hurts. AJ Brown will be back. Let's stop the AJ Brown trade to the Colts I seen, or to the Texans. It's not going to happen. He's going to stay in Philadelphia. He's going to play out that contract, and he's going to have one hell of a year. AJ Brown's coming for revenge. That's why this next offensive coordinator means so much, because basically that's our ticket to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. If we get the right offensive coordinator, of course nobody's perfect, but the right one who's balanced, who know how to use Jalen Hurts to his strength, I'm telling you, man, I still don't think no NFC team can mess with us. I really don't. But hey, man, what do you think? How do you feel about the news today? Howie Roseman, the linebackers, Lane Johnson in the collapse season, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. But this is Eagle Al, man. I'm up.